Hello, it's Caressa.
Hello, it's Maddie.
If you're not watching the Disney Channel right now,
You're listening to Dreadfully Twisted.
and we are back.
Dreadfully Twisted's back again. Dreadfully Twisted's back. Tell your friends, and family.
Sorry we took 2 weeks off.
Yes, we're very sorry.
The one was because of the holidays. The second one was just because life was like,
Yes.
no, you're not getting things together this year. But we are.
Yes, and
We
Mother
are.
Nature decided to, give us some,
Snowstorm.
yeah,
Which, I love the snow.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
and some icy roads that took us a half hour to get to the town over,
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
You told me about that.
Oh, yeah.
It was
It
like
took me a
5 minutes
half hour
away.
to get me 12 minutes to my work because I was able to work into a different office that day. But it took me a half hour just to get into work on
Yeah.
Monday. I was not happy because I was late
Mm-mm.
and I was like, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. And then it's supposed to snow tonight too, so
Yeah,
I love the snow though.
yeah,
I just don't want to drive in it.
yeah. That's the worst.
And I feel bad too because Tyr, he's so small that the snow is like his height.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to like bunny hop.
Oh my god, that's adorable.
He doesn't like it. He goes outside and he wants right back in. But Loki's like, I love this. And he's like running around doing zoomies and he's just loving life. But
You need some snow boots.
yeah.
A coat. Can you imagine him? Oh my god.
I have a coat for Loki,
That
but
was so cute.
Tyr, I want a coat. Did I show you that he got groomed?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he got groomed. He got a haircut.
Oh.
This is probably the best picture that I have at the
Oh
moment.
my goodness, look at it.
He got shaved because he won't let us brush him.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I butchered his ear hair because I didn't like his ear hair, so I cut it, and now I'm trying to find a better picture. Oh, here's a good picture. His ears stick up.
Aw,
As soon
oh
as
my
I cut his
God.
ear hair, his ear went like this. It was like this, and as soon as I cut it, it went.
So cute.
He is.
He's like a little teddy bear.
He is. He's a little demon though. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you. But it's been so long. It's been like forever. I feel like. How was your Christmas?
It was good. It was
good.
really good this year.
Oh, look at Tyr in a sweater.
Oh my god.
It's a penguin sweater. Sorry, I'm just looking back at my pictures.
So cute. Adorable.
Yeah.
We tried to dress the girls up.
Uh-huh.
It didn't go well.
Well, I had this sweater on him, but it's a little
Aw.
bit too big, and he got it off.
Did he?
And then Loki's is a little bit too small. But they have matching ones, but Loki didn't like it after I had it on him for a little bit. Oh, here's a picture with both of them in their sweaters. But did you try to put sweaters on them, or?
I know we put, Pearl, we tried to put a hat on her first. And then she was like, nope, I ain't having it. So then she took off running and she was like, no, I'm not doing this. So then Maisie, I think, we actually bought them a dress the first year and we put them on them when they were little, but they were too big.
Oh.
But yeah, we gotta find them again.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's been forever.
I know it has. It feels like I missed you.
No, I missed you. Just like, oh no, I was gonna say something that I forget. So, I have a couple things that I want to bring up before my before my case. What am I don't know how to do this again. Like, I forget. It's been too long. And this week was the first, like, real week of work because, like, this is the first, like, full week. Like, last week, I only worked 3.5 days. The week before that, I only worked 1 day and a half.
Mm.
So it's been very rough. It's been very rough. So bear with me. My brain is not working. But before I get into the case, I wanted to talk about a couple things because I found like this and I didn't know if you knew about it. But did you hear about that body that was found underneath the wheel well of an airplane?
Mm-mm. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna read this article real quick. An investigation was underway after a body was discovered in a wheel well of a plane that landed in Maui after taking off from Chicago. According to the United's website, Flight 202 departed from the O'Hare Airport at 9:30 a.m. on December 24th and landed in Maui. I don't want to say that airport's name. Airport at 2:12 local PM. Oh my gosh. Local time. The wheel well was only accessible from the outside of the aircraft. At this time, it is unclear how or when the person accessed the wheel well. Like, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Like, did the person crawl in there, or were they, like, put there?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know. That's insane.
It is insane. And then I wanted to talk about this, too. Well, there's a couple other things that I want to talk about. One thing I saw today, but, I have to find it first. I'm not prepared. Actually, there's another thing. Okay, there's a couple things, actually. Did I not save it? Probably not. But have you heard, and I might cover this depending on how long it is, that Miss Switzerland was a finalist, like one of the Miss Switzerland finalists was murdered by her husband, I think. And like, I was trying to find it, but
I feel like I have heard of that.
I had the article. Now it's gone. It might have been taken down. But it was like so gruesome.
Oh my gosh.
Are you reading about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It's insane. Oh my god.
I think I might go into that.
Yeah.
And then another thing that's not really, not true crime, but it's kind of dreadfully twisted. Haha. Ew, my laugh. So in 1920, a girl who was only a baby who was only 2 years old, and she died from pneumonia. But her death left her father so heartbroken that he approached a noted embalmer, Alfredo Solafia, and asked him to preserve Rosalia's body. And he was such a skillful embalmer and taxidermist. He performed such an excellent operation on her that nearly 100 years after her death, she appears to be merely dozing beneath the glass in the Capuchin catacombs of Palermo, Italy. And she's nicknamed the Sleeping Beauty. But there's actually a picture of her. I'm not going to show you.
Oh my gosh.
But like, he's there, and there's like an actual picture of her, and it's very gruesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after, like, I don't know, it's like 100 years, over 100 years, she still looks in, like, perfect shape.
That's terrifying.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
And then my last thing, which I do want to cover this case, and I think you wanted to as well, but did you hear about the Slender Man stabbing news? The one girl's getting released.
Is she?
Yeah.
I heard that she might get released like a while back, but I didn't know she was actually getting released.
Yeah, so I think I might want to cover that pretty soon because that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Only after 10 years.
I know. That's insane. I don't think she'll be reformed, but you know.
No. So my case might be a little bit shorter, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's been a hectic 2 weeks. I'll tell you that now. But it is a New Year's case. It was around New Year's. So, sorry, it's a little late. But, yeah. And I don't know how to feel about this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if the person because somebody in this case was sentenced for it. But I'm not sure if he actually did it or not.
Okay.
Here we go. So in December of 1997, friends Ben Smart, who was 21, and Olivia Hope, who was 17, celebrated New Year's Eve at Furnow Lodge, located in Endeavour Inlet of Marlborough Sounds in New Zealand. with oh, I just burped. I'm sorry. I like breathed in and it just was like with 1,500 to 2,000 other partygoers. Olivia had traveled to the lodge with a group on a chartered yacht called Tamarack, while Ben had arrived separately. At around 4 a.m. As the celebrations dwindled down, Olivia and Ben returned to the Tamarack where they intended to sleep. When Olivia and Ben found others had taken their booked places on their boat cabins, they boarded a passing water taxi driven by bartender Guy Wallace. At the time, Guy had 3 other passengers on board: Hayden Morrissey, Sarah Dyer, and an unidentified man who would become a crucial piece to the police investigation. The mysterious man offered the pair a place to sleep on what he said was his yacht. Wallace let Ben and Olivia off with this man at the yacht, then dropped off the other 2 passengers at their cabin, or boat cabin. This was the last time that Olivia and Ben were ever seen alive. Or seen at all. Because they're still considered missing.
Oh.
Because their bodies were never found. Ben Smart and Olivia Hope were reported missing on January 2nd of 1998. Which is... Okay, I was thinking that was like a whole year. I'm like, this has happened on New Year's Day. What am I doing? Okay. Initially, the Blenheim police treated the investigation as a missing persons case, but it soon became apparent that the disappearance was suspicious and out of character for the duo. Detective Inspector Rob Pope was appointed to take charge of the investigation on January 5th, and a mix of police staff from across the country joined the investigation, which became a homicide case called, had a code name of Operation Tam, short for Tamarack. Weird.
That is weird.
I didn't know, they probably did, oh, sorry. Kira was texting me about Girl Scout cookies because I was going to order some for her, and I was like, what is she texting me about? And then I just read it. She was just like, how many are you getting? I was like, what are you talking about? And then I remembered. I'm sorry. I was trying to swipe it away and I actually clicked on it because I'm reading from my notes from my phone. I've been doing that. Where was I? But yeah, I didn't know, I know, police probably do call, cases Operation whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just a New Zealand thing.
Yeah.
But I've never heard a case referred to as Operation something.
Yeah. I know. It's weird.
Interesting. Very interesting. The investigation featured requests for information from the public, significant numbers of interviews across the country, and months of extensive searches of the water surrounding the Endeavour Inlet. Despite this, no bodies were ever found. In his police statements on the 3rd and 5th of January, Guy Wallace, the driver of the water taxi, described the unknown man who was with Olivia Hope and Ben Smart, had left his water taxi as having 2 days' growth on his face, possibly arm tattoos, a wiry build. He was about 5'9", short, dark, wavy hair, being scruffy in appearance and wearing a Levi shirt with jeans. Guy Wallace maintained that the man on his taxi was the same man he and other staff had served in the lounge bar earlier that evening. I don't know about you. That's kind of very descriptive.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of very descriptive for being a witness, because most witnesses can't remember things.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it if you have a good memory, but a little suspicious. And as I was doing this, I was like, I don't think...
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
That's kind of how it was. Guy was shown 2 photographs of a local in Picton, Scott Watson, in montages when he was interviewed by police on January 9th, 1998. But he said he did not recognize anyone in the photographs. Police then changed the photo of Scott in the montage using a different one in which he had his eyes half closed. This became known as the blink photo. On April 19... I don't have a date there. In April of 1998, Wallace was shown a new montage, known as Montage B, containing the blink photo. Not realizing this was Watson, Wallace said that he could be the mystery man on the boat, but said that while the eyes were the same as the man he had seen on the night, the hair and the... Let me try that again.
Talking is hard.
Talking is very hard. I'm sorry. I just can't. I don't know. Not realizing this was Scott Watson, Guy Wallace said this could be the mystery man on the boat. But he said that while that had, and quote, the eyes were the same as the man he had seen on the night, the hair of the man in the photograph 3 was too short and his appearance was generally too tidy, end quote. Which is, like, again, it's kind of very descriptive.
Yeah.
I don't know. After the trial, Guy Wallace was adamant the police misled him over the photo and said he believed Scott Watson was innocent and he had inadvertently contributed to the incarceration of an innocent man. He maintained this position in multiple interviews and an affidavit until his death in March of 2021. Rosalind McNally, who was a bar manager at Furno Lodge on New Year's Eve, also identified Scott Watson from the Blink photo in Montage B. Once she saw a picture of Scott Watson taken the night, showing him to be clean-shaven and also recanted, and signed an affidavit stating she had made a mistake identifying him. Guy Wallace said he felt tremendous pressure from police and the media during the investigation. He was interrogated. Kind
of visitor.
I'm struggling. Hey. Sniffing my purse. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to kick you. Oh, no. He's trying to pet you. He said no. Guy Wallace was interrogated by detectives from Christchurch CIB, who initially suggested he was somehow responsible for the disappearance of the teenagers. Also got that feeling.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. As a result of accusations against him by the police, some locals began treating him with suspicion. People he knew began to think he was guilty and shunned him. He said that in the initial stages of the investigation, the police were desperate to arrest someone, and it could have easily been him. Quote, I know in my heart of hearts, if he, Scott, wasn't in there, I'd be doing time. It's just that simple, end quote. Yeah. Yeah.
If everyone would have just seen my face when I just went.
Guy Wallace told police and the media that he had dropped Ben Smart and Olivia Hope off at a wooden ketch, which is a boat with 2 masts. On January 3rd, 1998, Guy Wallace drew a sketch for police of what he thought the boat he dropped the duo onto looked like. He drew a yacht with 2 masts and wrote, quote, 38 to 40 foot ketch, and question mark, end quote. On the drawing, underline the word ketch, question mark, twice. He described the ketch as well-maintained, built of timber, with a thick blue stripe on the hull, and several round portholes with brass surroundings. He also said it was rafted in a group of between 3 and 5 other vessels. I'm sorry, this is hard because I don't know how to read boat talk, so I'm so sorry.
Same, so it's okay.
If you understand what I'm talking about, great.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about boats.
Nope, me either.
Police seized Scott Watson's sloop Blade on January 12th, to the surprise of Maddie following the case. Compared to the descriptions of the mystery ketch, Blade was small, had a steel, not timber, hull, no portholes, no blue strip, and had only 1 mast. Police analyzed thousands of photos taken on New Year's Eve and interviewed all of the boat skippers, but were unable to corroborate Guy Wallace's reports of a ketch in the Endeavour Inlet that night, or find any of the 3 to 5 vessels it was rafted to. However, in the following weeks, there were a number of sightings of 2-mast ketches. That's not what I have. 2-mast ketch. I want to say ketches because I feel like it should be plural. 2-masted ketch in the Marlborough Sounds area reported to the police, including one account from a former police officer with 40 years of experience. A number of witnesses who came forward with sightings of a ketch were either told their information was not wanted or their statements were not followed up, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Great police work for not following up there.
Good police work.
Former detective Mike Chappell, who worked on the case, later claimed officers were not told to follow up sightings of 2-masted ketches. But it is ketches. I was right. I don't know why I'm crazy. Later in the investigation, lead investigator Rob Pope would say that Scott Watson, quote, stood out like dog's balls and had the right sort of agenda and pedigree. That's funny. I'm sorry. Apparently referring to his criminal record, Scott Watson had 48 criminal convictions at the time, mainly from when he was a teenager, for burglary, theft, cannabis offenses, 2 counts of possessing an offensive weapon, and 1 for assault when he was 16. Scott Watson had been in prison for 2 short periods in 1989 and 1990, but had seemingly cleaned up his act in his 20s, having just 1 conviction in the 8 years leading up to 1998. Scott Watson was being interviewed by Detective Tom Fitzgerald on January 12th when police seized the Blade, his boat, and executed search warrants on the homes of his parents and sister. During the interview, 1 week into the investigation, Fitzgerald made it clear that police considered Scott Watson their main suspect. Rumors about the Watson family began to swirl in the small town of Picton, as well as in national media. Later, Watson would accuse police of influencing media coverage in the case, suggesting they leaked rumors to reporters that his family were criminals and that he was a guilty man that had an incestuous relationship with his sister. I'm sorry, I probably should have put a trigger warning there. But it wasn't true, but... yeah. At least I don't think it was.
I hope not.
Gerald Hope, Olivia's father, also asserted to the police that they deliberately leaked details of Scott Watson's criminal history and were responsible for unsubstantiated suggestions of incest. So even like Olivia's father said it was wrong and didn't think that was true. Scott Watson also alleged that the police followed and intimidated members of his family, which is crazy. Like, do you really just want to, like, put this guy away and just make him pay for something that he probably didn't do?
Yeah.
And then, like, ruin his life?
Yeah,
and then also, like, the actual person who did this is still out there. If they were murdered, you know? Or maybe they did fall off the boat because maybe they were drunk or something because it was New Year's Eve. But, like, do your job.
Yeah.
Don't make it apparent that you're trying to ruin this guy's life. I don't know. Or at least make it look like you're actually doing your job and not, like, just forcing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Police obtained warrants to tap the phone lines of Watson and his family from February until his arrest, in an investigation known as Operation Celt. They love to name things.
Yeah, they clearly do.
Police recorded 70-plus hours of conversations, and during that time, they regularly fed Watson's former girlfriend questions to ask, hoping he would incriminate himself. Watson was described by a police representative as smug during these conversations, but never said anything to indicate he was involved. Prior to his arrest, the media were free to report police comments and actions which demonstrated that Scott Watson was the prime suspect without fear of jeopardizing a fair trial. They arrested him on June 15, 1998, 6 months after his yacht was pulled from the water in full view of bystanders and media. According to a journalist, Mike White, during the 6-month period, police allowed unsubstantiated gossip about Watson's family to circulate, including rumors was that Watson was sleeping with his sister. In an interview with Paul Henry, Mike White agreed that the media were manipulated and said, quote, "I don't think the media asked enough questions. We were thinking that we had to support the police and we were doing the right thing by doing that." So the media and their self were like, we're not going to ask questions. We think the police are right. What?
What? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, they don't even have actual evidence here.
Yeah.
This is why I'm like, I don't think Scott Watson did it.
No.
I don't. I think it was Guy Wallace.
I agree.
Because, like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. We will see. Maybe. Maybe not.
Uh-oh.
Gotta keep you hooked on your seat. Police denied starting these rumors, but Gerald Hope, Olivia's father, says police constantly told him and his family how bad the Watsons were. Scott Watson was advised by his lawyer not to speak publicly to the media, and that so the media relied entirely on one-sided comments from the police and the victims' families. When interviewed by Mike White 18 years later, Scott Watson said, quote, "Every comment he'd made was reinterpreted to sound sinister. Every action he'd taken was twisted to seem suspicious," end quote. The 11-week trial, which attracted considerable media attention, commenced on June 10th, 1999, and concluded that the verdicts were delivered on September 11th, 1999. The Crown called approximately 488 witnesses, and the defense called 26. The main plank of the Crown's case was that Scott Watson invited Ben Smart and Olivia Hope to sleep on his yacht in the early hours of January 1st, 1998, and that this was the last time they were seen. Another water taxi driver, Don Anderson, testified that he dropped Watson at the Blade sometime between 2 and 4 a.m. Some of the occupants of the neighboring boats, Mina Cornelia and Bianco, testified were woken up by Watson in the early hours of the morning as he wanted to continue partying. Both the Crown and the defense agreed that this trip took place. The Crown argued later in the trial that Scott Watson returned to shore after Anderson dropped him off at the Blade, but could not say how. This became known as the two-trip theory. The Crown argued it did not matter that the prosecution could not prove how Scott Watson got back to shore, but said he must have done so because witnesses said he was involved in an altercation on shore probably between 3 and 3:30 a.m. The prosecution claimed that the Blade left its mooring at Endeavor Outlet probably before 6 a.m. on New Year's Day with Ben and Olivia's bodies, that Scott Watson dumped them into Cook Strait, returned to Erie Bay, and lied about the time he arrived. A number of witnesses testified that they saw a boat at different times during the day. Another witness said Blade arrived in Erie Bay shortly after 5 p.m., and that when it arrived, Watson was the only occupant. Much of the Crown's case was circumstantial and largely relied on testimony from two prison informants, one of whom later admitted he lied, and the identification of Scott Watson by Guy Wallace and Roz McNally, both of whom subsequently presented affidavits claiming that the police misled them. No fingerprints of the victims were ever found on Scott Watson's boat. The only physical evidence produced at the trial related to some human hair found on Scott Watson's boat, which was subject to DNA testing. The most incriminating testimony came from two prison informants described as Witness A and Witness B. But the one witness already said he lied, so
Yeah.
he admitted it later, but the thing is too, you'll see, I don't think that the police even tested that DNA. The Crown claimed that during the police's forensic investigation of Blade, they found a blanket from which a number of human hairs were later recovered. Susan Vitnier, a forensic biologist, testified in court that one hair was matched to Olivia Hope through DNA testing. Oh, I guess they did do it. But I read somewhere that it didn't.
Yeah.
But also, it's just one hair. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Mitochondrial DNA analysis on the hairs was conducted in Australia and the United Kingdom. Police never received the level of validation they were seeking from the test that the hairs belonged to Olivia, but still presented the results as evidence at Scott Watson's trial. Okay, so they didn't actually do it. They said they did, but they didn't actually do it. I knew I was right. I was I remember them saying that they didn't do it, and I was what, my notes here, because it's been forever. I did this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I did this research 2 weeks ago. Scott Watson's counsel questioned the chain of custody regarding the hair, suggesting Vitnier may have mixed it up with hair samples by examining known hair from Olivia on the same table and day that she examined the samples taken from Blade. They also pointed out there was 1 centimeter hole in the evidence bag containing Olivia's hair, which could have added to the risk of contamination. Vitnier testified at the trial that cross-contamination is an explanation that needs to be considered. Accuracy of the hair testing has been questioned by other experts during the appeals in the following years following Watson's trial. A crucial aspect of the prosecution case came from 2 prisoners whose names were suppressed and were referred to as Witnesses A and Witness B. They both claimed that they met Scott Watson in prison where he was on remand and said he told them he was responsible for Ben and Olivia's disappearance. Despite his testimony, Witness A subsequently admitted to a number of lawyers and the NZ Herald that he lied in court. At this time, he was receiving death threats from a gang member and was coming up for parole. Police visited him at least 10 times in over a 12-month period, leading to the trial and pressured him into making a false accusation in his testimony.
Wow.
Yeah. Witness A said he chose to help the police and hoped that they would be able to save him. Witness B said he and Scott Watson interacted on numerous occasions and became good friends in Addington Prison. In fact, Witness B was never in the same cell as Watson and had little opportunity to develop any close relationship with him, such that a confession might be made. It was later revealed to police and stuff that on his release from prison, the witness was granted the use of a car and cell phone for his testimony by police. So these witnesses, quote unquote, only did it for their own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the only actual evidence they have against Scott Watson
Yeah.
is one single hair.
Yeah.
And all these witnesses who don't know how to get their story straight.
Oh my gosh.
Because one person's like, oh, he was here at this time. Another person's like, oh, he was here at this time. You know, like, witnesses are great for, like, cases, but they're also not great for cases.
Exactly.
Because you don't know if they accidentally got something wrong, if they remembered things wrong. I do that all the time. I remember things wrong all the time.
Yep, same.
Like, at work, I have to keep, like, a tracker of things, like, how long it's taking me to do things. And I was like, oh, it only took me 15 minutes to do this, but it probably really took me a half hour.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it right. So, like, not everybody remembers things correctly.
Exactly.
I can't remember what I did, like, an hour ago. So, like, you can't base a trial just based off of witness testimony. You have to have DNA evidence. And what's the most crazy part is that you'll see here, they got away with it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't understand. I feel bad because, like, I don't think he did it.
Yeah.
Because, like, what evidence do you actually have except for saying, like, oh, he had this many, I said, like, what, 28? He had, like, 28, like, hold on. He went to prison or something before. He had 48 criminal convictions. So, like, they're just saying that because they're like, oh, he had a previous experience with, like, criminal stuff. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Crazy.
Also, if one person is, like, against him, they can also be like, hey,
yeah,
we need to, like, say this. Like, let's get our story straight so we could take him down. And he
that's
couldn't
like
even done
what
it.
It seems like because they pressured those two witnesses to do it. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do it for my own benefit. And then, like, another person, they did it too. And then they were saying, like, oh, he did this with his sister, which wasn't true.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, and the media was like, oh, I thought we were helping the police. And it's just like, really? This is not how you do a case.
No.
This is not how you found out who the killer is.
Not at all.
Or find out if they were even murdered. Maybe they fell off the boat. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe that was what happened. Maybe they fell off because they're all drunk and then Scott didn't want to get in trouble or something. I don't know. I mean, even then, he should have, like, said something even if that did happen. But just crazy.
It is.
Author John Golter described the evidence of witness A and B as bombshell. Yeah, sure. And said it had a dramatic impact on everyone in court. Scott Watson was convicted of the murders in September of 1999 after an 11-week trial and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years. Watson told the jury, "You're wrong," when the verdict was read out in court, and he continued to insist that he was innocent since the conviction. In the years following the trial, Olivia Hope's father, Gerald Hope, expressed concerns over the investigation and trial, telling journalist Mike White that he felt, quote, very uncomfortable about the way the Crown ran this case, end quote. Olivia's sister, Amelia, was called to testify at the trial about friendship rings she and Olivia had exchanged. The prosecutor continued questioning her until she broke down in tears. Gerald Hope said, quote, it was a pure theater, and the whole thing must have had a huge emotional effect on the jurors, end quote. Even the family, even Olivia's family, don't believe that it was done properly.
Yeah.
That says something.
Exactly. It sure does.
In December of 2016, Mike White facilitated 2 meetings between Scott Watson and Gerald Hope in Ralston Prison. The meetings were opposed by the Corrections Department and only took place after Watson requested a judicial review of the corrections refusal. Each meeting lasted approximately 3 hours. During the interview, the pair discussed concerns that they had over the investigation and trial, and with Hope saying, end quote, we never got the truth. We haven't got the truth yet. Olivia's father. Hope said that he confronted Scott Watson over pressing questions he had about his circumstances on January 1st. He said Scott Watson went silent or found his answers unconvincing. However, Mike White, who was present during the whole interview, said, quote, I don't think there was anything that Scott Watson evaded or didn't want to answer. He was very open, end quote. White added that Hope has had doubts about the case for a long time and that Hope rejects crucial evidence that led to Watson's conviction. Scott Watson appealed his conviction in the Court of Appeals in April and May of 2000. 3 appeal court judges heard submissions from both the defense and the prosecution, but decided that there were no new evidence to recommend a second trial. They disregarded the defense's submission and the prosecution's so-called two-trip theory that had appeared out of the blue late in the trial, stating to prohibit the Crown from promoting a rational theory for which there was supporting evidence consistent with the whole nature and thrust of its case would be a drastic step and one to be taken only where the interest of justice would otherwise be in jeopardy. Scott Watson married Coral Branch in Marlborough prison in 2004. They separated in 2007. At his parole hearing in 2020, the board noted that he was supported by his partner of 16 years. In 2007, Watson was found guilty by a magistrate of assaulting another inmate in Marlborough prison. In 2008, his appeal against the conviction failed. In 2009, Scott Watson applied to the Governor General for a royal prerogative of mercy. He sent a 22-page letter that enclosed a copy of Keith Hunter's book, Trial by Trickery, and documentary, Murder on the Blade. The Ministry of Justice appointed Christy McDonald, QC, to provide advice on the application. She produced 2 reports on the case in 2011 and 2013. In summary, McDonald said, quote, nearly all of the threads of the Crown's circumstantial evidence have been undermined post-trial, end quote, and therefore, quote, there is no reasonable prospect that the Court of Appeal would uphold an appeal, end quote. In 2010, journalist Keith Hunter and Scott's father, Chris Watson, made a complaint to the Independent Police Conduct Authority about police conduct in the case. The complaint alleged that the head of inquiry, Inspector Rob Pope, ignored relevant evidence, spread rumors about Scott Watson and his family, swore false affidavits to obtain search warrants, and that the police bought or pressured 2 prisoners into telling lies into court, and that they deliberately or accidentally contaminated the hair samples found on Watson's boat. The report was highly critical of aspects of the investigation led by present Deputy Commissioner Rob Pope. It states that their photograph montages used by police breached so many rules it exposed the integrity of the investigation to justifiable criticism and to the drawing of inference about intention and motivation. It also states that the police failed to pursue leads and that the mystery catch seen by many witnesses, including some witnesses who believe they saw a young woman who could be Olivia Hope on board. The head of the IPCA, Justice Lowell Goddard, said it was a difficult inquiry and some actions of police fell short of best practice and had potential to influence witnesses. In November 2017, a second application for royal prerogative of mercy was filed on Scott Watson's behalf by an Auckland man, an ex-convict who had taken an interest in the Watson case. The application concerned the reliability of the evidence relating to 2 blonde hairs found on a blanket in Watson's boat. It included a forensic report by scientist Sean Doyle, which questioned whether the hairs were really Olivia Hope's, and criticized that the hair samples were handled at the time of the original trial. The application was denied. And, I also feel like, why would he be trying to appeal it so many times if he actually really didn't do it? I feel like at some point, he would give up.
Yeah.
In June of 2020, it was reported that Scott Watson's case would be referred back to the Court of Appeal because of continuing concern about the reliability of the forensic testing used to show the 2 hairs found on the blanket belonged to Olivia. In May of 2022, the court also agreed that when the hearing goes ahead, Watson would be allowed to challenge whether the controversial eyewitness evidence related to the blink photo was probably obtained and should have been heard by the jury at his trial. Scott Watson's hearing at the Court of Appeal was delayed until June of 2024.
Wow.
On June 10th, the defense argued that the plastering of Watson's face in the news media prior to his arrest for the murders may have influenced eyewitnesses' descriptions of the suspect. Eyewitnesses' identifications. Expert Dr. Gary Wells said Wallace only pointed the finger at Watson after he was exposed to his photograph in the media. The only person Guy Wallace actually remembered was someone with long, scraggly hair. Crown lawyer Stuart Baker questioned Dr. Wells about water taxi passenger Hayden Morrissey. but acknowledged that Morrissey had only seen the mystery yacht owner from behind. Morrissey said that the man had long hair, whereas photographs of Watson on the night showed he had short hair. On June 11th, forensic scientist Paige McElhinney and Sean Doyle were questioned about 2 blonde hairs linked to Olivia Hope and that were found on the blanket of the yacht. Paige said that the hairs could have been taken on board by the Blade by police by accident. Forensic scientist Susan Vitnier was questioned about the testimony she gave in Watson's 1999 trial. She did not know how the bag containing the hair was. She didn't know that the bag containing the hair was perforated, and agreed it was not possible to say how the hairs came to be transferred to Scott Watson's boat. On June 12, 2024, Scott Watson's lawyers argued that the 2 pieces of evidence which apparently linked Watson to the murder pair, Olivia Hope's 2 hairs, and the eyewitnesses' identification procedure, was so flawed that they never have been put to the jury. They called for Scott Watson's convictions to be overturned without a retrial. Crown lawyer Madeline Laracy said the case did not rest on 2 hairs and was aware that there were significant challenges with Guy Wallace's identification. She told the court the totality and overlinking of circumstantial evidence provided overwhelming evidence of Watson's guilt. Justice Christine French said that the Court of Appeal did take several months to reach a decision. In June 2015, Watson attended a parole hearing for the first time. He was now appeared before the board 4 times and has been declined parole on each occasion. When declining parole in 2016, the board made it clear it does not determine questions of guilt or innocence, nor do we act as some sort of court of appeal from decisions of criminal justice system. On the basis, the board will not release Watson until he has had psychological treatment to address the risk of reoffending, which, based on his murder convictions, has been assessed as high. But, like, he might have not done it, so what do you mean?
Yeah.
Has refused to engage with corrections department psychologists, and so his risk of reoffending could not be treated. Watson's most recent hearing was via video chat in May of 2024, which I just talked about, but I'm going back to it, sorry. Mm-hmm. At this hearing, board chairman Sir Ron Young noted that each of the 3 recent psychological reports available to the board differed considerably when describing Watson's risk of reoffending. A report from November of 2021 said that he was high to very high risk. A report done by a corrections psychologist in September of 2023 assessed him at medium risk. A more recent private psychological report assessed him as a low risk of a reoffending. Ron Young decided to hold a hearing at a later date so that the different psychologists could be questioned about their reports so board members could understand the varying risk of assessments. And then I have just a couple things about, like, things seen in the media. Mm-hmm. 2000, and obviously Scott Watson's still in prison. In 2000, John Golter published a book about the investigation called Silent Evidence. 2001, Mike Coloffer published the Marlborough mystery, in which focused on the mistakes in the police case. In 2003, journalist Keith Hunter produced the documentary called Murder on the Blade. In 2006, he published a follow-up book about the case Trial by Trickery. A television documentary, Doubt the Scott Watson Case, broadcast in 2016. Journalist Ian Wishart wrote 3 books about the case. Ben, Olivia, What Really Happened, Elementary and Elementary 2.0, in which he examines the investigation questioning the actions of the police and Scott Watson's innocence. Scott Watson's team believes he didn't do it, that he was only convicted because of Guy Wallace at first said he was a mystery man. However, when you look it up, it still says Ben and Olivia are missing but presumed to be killed because their bodies have never been found, and they've been missing for 20.
Wow. 27 years.
Crazy.
That is insane.
Because, like, I feel like my theory, I said already, is what if they just got drunk and then accidentally fell off the boat? Or Guy Wallace did it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find anything on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which I don't know if he even did it, because like he just had a very detailed witness thing. What about the other people that were on board?
Mm-hmm.
Hayden and the other person. And then also, like, did they actually get on Scott Watson's boat?
Yeah.
I think the most like a theory that makes sense is that they probably fell off.
That's what I'm thinking too.
That's
what I would say, because that would honestly make sense, because sometimes they can't find bodies. It's harder for them to find
and
bodies
if there's
in the water.
absolutely no evidence of them being there, or no evidence of even like an attack or something.
Yeah.
They didn't find blood, they didn't find any of that. So like they weren't attacked.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they fell over, which is horrifying and terrifying and still very tragic and sad.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No.
Because that's a very horrible way to go. But, or what if they ran away?
Didn't think about that one.
I'm like trying to think of like the most happiest outcome here. That probably didn't happen.
Yeah. But one can hope.
One can hope. Like, I'm just like, what happened?
I know.
I want to know what happened.
Same.
Because it doesn't seem like Scott Watson did it.
No.
At first, I thought like, oh, he did it. But now I'm like,
no.
After doing all the research, I was like, no, he didn't do it. Because why would you that many times try to get an appeal?
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't do it. And just because he had a criminal background doesn't mean that he's going to do it again.
I feel like they were like, oh, he's the one with the criminal background.
Let's put it on him.
Yep, it's him.
So then the media doesn't get scared because it happened on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Or what if not Scott? What's the other one's name?
Guy Wallace.
Yeah. What if he drowned them somehow?
Oh.
Like, what if they got into like an altercation or something?
What if he said that they went to another boat and they didn't, and they were on his boat? He attacked them. There's blood and stuff on his boat, but obviously they didn't search his boat. And then he threw their bodies overboard, or did something with their bodies, and he was actually the perpetrator.
Did we just solve the case?
It makes sense because like he was the one that was like, oh, they went to a different they went somewhere else after they were with me. Or like on his water taxi, you know?
Oh my god.
Don't sue us.
Don't sue us, please.
This is just hypothetically
yes.
theorizing. We're not blaming anybody.
These are our conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we're conspiracy theorying right now.
Yes.
That makes sense, though.
It does.
In a hypothetical world.
Because that would definitely make sense. He killed them and then threw them into the water.
Yeah. And then the police didn't even bother to check because he was like, oh, they went somewhere else. Because you know how many people do that?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they just went somewhere else. Oh, they went somewhere else. We're gonna solve this case.
Yes, we will.
We're gonna take a trip to New Zealand and we're gonna solve this case.
Who do we talk to? We need to go talk to someone with good police work, not bad police work.
Who was one of like the best police in one of the cases we've done so far? Like what case?
Most of them have bad police work.
Obviously not the Sauter family
No,
because like the firemen let the house burn to the ground.
Yeah.
After it only came after 8 hours.
Yeah, definitely not.
What is wrong with you? I don't know. I feel like that's one of the cases that you did. They had really great police work.
A couple of them I think have.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of which ones.
I don't know. We'll circle back on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll circle back. And we'll get that police to be involved.
Yes.
We'll solve this case. So, everybody, let us know what you think about what happened in this case on our Facebook group.
Yes. And let us know which one of our cases has good police work.
Yeah. And that Facebook group is called Dreadfully Twisted Podcast Discussion Group. So please go on there and talk to us. Or if you don't want to do that and you don't have Facebook, that's fine. We have an email address. You can always email us too. Our email address is dreadfullytwistedpodcast@gmail.com. And if you don't want to do that, then we have a Reddit page, r/dreadfullytwistedpod. And along with sending us your ideas of what happened on this case, you can also email us your stories, true crime, or paranormal, or recommend cases or topics you want us to cover. Because, it's a new year. Talk to us.
Please do.
Talk to us, do all that. And even if you don't want to do that, then you can follow, like, share, comment, DM our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dreadfully Twisted Podcast. You can always send us a message, send us a message on there, or comment on our stuff if you. We recommend it. I hope. Please.
I just thought of what has decent police work.
The
Crossbow Cannibal.
Yeah.
Because they put cameras up like 4 months before they caught him.
That was the ones I was thinking about, yeah. And then you can also rate the podcast page or download, comment on each episode wherever you listen to podcasts on. And if you do rate us, please give us 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we love you.
You can listen to Dreadfully Twisted Podcast on. It's not called Dreadfully Twisted Podcast. It's actually Dreadfully Twisted. I just added the podcast on there because we're a podcast.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You can listen to Dreadfully Twisted on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcast, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Listen Notes, and YouTube. And please share our podcast with friends and family. It really helps us get the podcast out there and stay relevant, and even just liking our Facebook pages and all that stuff. It really helps us out too. Yes. We really appreciate it because right now we're trying to grow.
Yeah.
It's a new year.
Help us grow.
New year, new things. We have ideas, and this year we're actually going to do them.
Yes, we will.
It's our New Year's resolution.
Yes.
We love you guys.
We love you guys. The Chowchilla school bus kidnapping.
Oh, yeah, the Chowchilla school bus kidnapping was one too. Yeah, so be a good person.
Yes. Check on your friends.
Smile.
Be nice.
Doesn't take anything to be kind. It takes no money. And it also doesn't take any money? Supporting in the podcast.
Yeah. And posting in the discussion group. And sending us ideas.
Yeah, it really, really helps.
$200.
Yeah.
And liking our posts. We love you.
So yeah, just be a good person and don't be like these terrible people we talk about.
Please don't.
And we will see you guys next week. And we're also sorry we were not here for 2 weeks. Please forgive us.
Yes, please forgive us. Don't be mad.
We'll be back every week now.
Yes, we will.
Although we might take another break around Christmas again this year. So don't hate us for that. But yeah, but that's 12 months away. So we don't have anything to worry about there. But yeah, so we love you guys and we will see you next week.
Yes. Bye.
I don't like how I said bye.
Remember last time I said hi and I was like, ooh, scrap that. It just sounded so gross. I hated how
and then I listened back to it and I was like, it sounds normal.
It sounded so weird in my head for some reason.
It sounded normal. And I'm leaving all this in, by the way, because I didn't hit end yet. So it'll be after the music or something.
Yes.
You see our crazy selves.
We need to post a blooper reel once a year or something.
I feel like we need a blooper reel after every episode.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. End of blooper. Bye.
Bye.
1, 2, 3. Now it's working.
Yay.
You get started, whatever.
Hey, it's Maddie.
And it's Caressa.
I didn't like that. That sounded really weird. Ew. Wait, hold on a second. That was gross. I'm going to restart that.